There are two kinds of intelligence in this world. One that seeks comfort in truth, and another that creates its own version of truth to control the world. Machiavelli belonged to the second kind. He understood something most people never will, that to survive among wolves, you cannot remain a sheep pretending to be kind. We live in a time where morality is weaponized and weakness is celebrated. People are told to be good, not realizing that this very idea of goodness has been designed to keep them obedient. Machiavelli saw through that illusion. He realized that those who win in life do not play by the rules. They redefine them. When he wrote The Prince, he wasn't creating a manual for cruelty. He was exposing the hidden logic that governs power, influence, and human nature. It wasn't evil. It was realism without apology. And if you wish to become dangerously smart, you must learn what most refuse to see, the cold, unsentimental truths about human psychology. Let's unlock the first of the 8 ruthless lessons Machiavelli whispered from the shadows of history. Truths that burn illusions, but sharpen your mind like a blade. Lesson 1. Never assume morality has power, perception does. The world doesn't reward virtue. It rewards appearance. A man who looks honest will be trusted, even when he lies. A man who looks powerful will be feared, even when he's uncertain. Machiavelli's warning was clear. People judge more by what they see than by what they feel. You can spend your entire life trying to be good, yet one who simply appears noble will outrun you in every race. Dangerous intelligence begins when you stop trying to be good and start learning to look good when needed. It doesn't mean hypocrisy, it means strategy. The wise manipulate perception the way kings move armies, deliberately and without guilt. Ask yourself, do you want to be morally right or do you want to have impact? The crowd never studies intentions, they worship symbols. And if you don't shape how you are seen, someone else will define it for you. Lesson 2. Emotions are weapons. Control yours. Exploit theirs. Every war in history was won not by strength, but by manipulation of emotion. Machiavelli observed that men are governed more by their feelings than by reason, and those who understand this rule them. Most people believe logic runs the world, but look closer, governments, markets, religion, all powered by emotion. Fear, hope, anger, guilt. These are the levers that move masses. To become dangerously smart, learn to remain emotionally invisible. Never react, only observe. Never reveal what hurts you, only study what hurts others. When you can predict the emotional temperature of a room, you own it. When others argue, panic, or beg, you stand calm like a strategist behind the curtain, controlling the storm while appearing untouched by it. The truly powerful never shout. They whisper at the right moment. Lesson 3. Loyalty is conditional. Treat it as a transaction, not a bond. Most people waste years building loyalty as if it's eternal. Machiavelli laughed at that illusion. He knew that loyalty lives only as long as benefit exists. People are loyal not to you, but to what they get through you. When the benefit dies, the loyalty evaporates like smoke. So instead of expecting faithfulness, engineer dependency. Make others rely on you for what they value. Status, protection, opportunity. Anything that ties their survival to your presence. When people need you, loyalty becomes a practical habit, not a moral promise. And yet, remember this paradox. While others' loyalty is a tool, your own loyalty to your goals must be absolute. You can replace people, but never your purpose. That's what Machiavelli meant when he said, men forget the death of their father sooner than the loss of their inheritance. He wasn't mocking humanity. Lesson 4. Be useful or be replaced. The harsh truth is this. Every relationship, every alliance, every friendship is built on utility. Once your usefulness ends, so do you. Machiavelli's wisdom was cold but fair. He didn't mourn it. He mastered it. The world doesn't owe you recognition. You must make yourself valuable to those in power, not as a servant, but as an asset they cannot easily discard. Become the key to their door, and even kings will protect you. Dangerously smart people know that every human system, from a kingdom to a company, runs on exchange. If you can offer what few can, you become irreplaceable. If you depend on validation or pity, you become invisible. So keep upgrading your worth, your knowledge, your network, your influence. Because once you stop being useful, the world doesn't turn against you. It simply forgets you ever existed. Lesson 5. Mercy without power is suicide. Asterisk asterisk. Mercy is beautiful, but only when you can afford it. Machiavelli warned rulers never to confuse mercy with weakness. He said it's safer to be feared than loved, because love depends on others, fear depends on you. People claim to love peace, yet they follow strength. They admire humility, yet they obey dominance. It's not because they are evil, it's because power is the language the human mind respects most. The dangerously smart know when to show compassion, and when to cut clean. Forgiveness should be tactical, not emotional. You forgive to gain advantage, not to heal your enemy. Mercy, in its raw form, is not kindness. It's control dressed as kindness. And when applied with precision, it builds a reputation both respected and feared, the highest form of influence. Lesson 6. The world respects mystery, not transparency. Asterisk asterisk. The open book gets read, then ignored. Machiavelli understood that power thrives in silence. Once people understand your full logic, they lose awe. And where there is no awe, there is no authority. Keep parts of yourself hidden. Let people guess your limits, your motives, your next move. Mystery builds value, it makes your presence heavier. The dangerously smart never overshare. Never explain too much. Never reveal their real intentions until it's too late to stop them. In the age of oversharing, secrecy is the new intelligence. The more you talk, the more you trade away your power. Silence isn't emptiness, it's strategy disguised as calm. Lesson 7. Kindness is a tool. Use it with precision. Asterisk asterisk. Machiavelli never said, "Don't be kind." He said, "Don't be kind blindly." Kindness is a weapon of influence when you choose when and how to use it. A favor at the right time builds debt. A compliment at the right moment disarms suspicion. People remember how you made them feel, not what you did for them, so if your kindness feels deliberate and dignified, it wins respect instead of exploitation. The weak give kindness to be liked. The wise give kindness to create balance, to remind others that even the ruthless can choose gentleness, but never from weakness. Kindness without boundaries is manipulation in reverse, where others use your virtue as their shield. Learn the difference, and you'll never be drained by empathy again. Lesson 8. Reality belongs to the bold, not the just. Asterisk asterisk. This is the ultimate Machiavellian truth. The world doesn't belong to those who wait for fairness. It belongs to those who act before permission. The moral man asks, "Should I?" The strategic man asks, "Can I?" And the dangerously smart man asks, "How can I?" Without being stopped. That is not cruelty, that's survival with awareness. Every empire, every company, every movement you admire was built by someone who broke invisible rules. The ones who dared to move while others debated morality. Machiavelli's legacy isn't to turn you cold. It's to make you clear. You don't have to harm anyone. You simply need to see the world as it truly is, not as you were told it should be. The moment you accept that, you evolve from victim to player, from observer to architect. Dangerously smart people don't chase dominance. They master perception, emotion, and timing. They are calm in chaos, polite in conflict, invisible in plans, and unforgettable in execution. Machiavelli didn't create monsters, he created realists. He showed that morality without strength is noise, and intelligence without strategy is blindness. The 8 lessons aren't meant to make you ruthless, they're meant to make you awake. Because once you see how power truly works, you can never go back to sleep. Power doesn't always roar. Sometimes, it whispers behind polite smiles and measured silences. Machiavelli understood this before anyone, that the real battlefield isn't made of swords or guns, but minds and motives. Every person you meet is a player in an invisible game. Some play unconsciously, others deliberately. The weak seek validation. The smart seek understanding. But the dangerously smart, they engineer the board itself, deciding who plays, who wins, and who never even realizes they were being moved. This is where Machiavellian intelligence lives, not in cruelty, but in awareness. He taught that to survive in a world of manipulation, one must learn the architecture of it, the small patterns of control hidden in everyday behavior. Let's descend deeper into the mind of power, where empathy coexists with strategy, and where kindness can kill more effectively than hate. The psychology of masked power ***. To control people, you must first understand what they fear losing. Machiavelli believed that fear is a deeper motivator than love, not because fear is stronger, but because it's simpler. Love must be maintained. Fear maintains itself. Every ruler, boss, or influencer who lasts long knows this principle instinctively. They appear approachable, even humble, but never entirely predictable. They reveal enough warmth to seem human, but retain enough distance to remain untouchable. That tension between closeness and mystery is what keeps people mentally loyal, because humans worship what they don't fully understand. If you want to be dangerously smart, learn to create controlled unpredictability. Sometimes agree, sometimes delay, sometimes vanish. Keep others slightly uncertain, not scared, but cautious. In uncertainty, people become careful, and careful people are easy to guide. The fool wants to be understood. The wise prefer to be interpreted. Power is not about domination. It's about framing reality ***. Here lies one of Machiavelli's most overlooked truths. He never said, "Rule with violence." He said, "Rule with perception." If you can define what truth looks like, you don't need to argue. The world will conform to your version. That's why propaganda, marketing, and leadership all use the same principle. Control the narrative and you control the mind. In politics, this is obvious. But it's also true in relationships, workplaces, even friendships. If you constantly let others define who you are, you'll always be a character in someone else's story. Dangerously smart people frame themselves first, before the world gets a chance to. They decide what impression they want to leave: calm, cold, visionary, mysterious, and then everything they say, wear, and do aligns with that image. This isn't fake. It's deliberate identity design, the same thing every powerful person in history has practiced, consciously or not. Remember, the truth doesn't always set you free. Often, it's the illusion of truth that gets you respect. Control perception, and reality adjusts itself to fit your design. The hidden economy of human nature ***. Every human interaction is an exchange, emotional, psychological, or material. You give something, you get something. Even love operates like a contract, invisible but transactional. Machiavelli's genius was that he refused to demonize this truth. He didn't call it cynical, he called it accurate. When you accept this, you stop expecting loyalty, fairness, or empathy to be automatic. You learn to earn them, to trade for them, or to outgrow the need for them. The dangerously smart don't expect equal treatment. They calculate imbalance and move through it. If someone uses them, they observe why and how. If someone betrays them, they treat it as data, not drama. Because emotion makes you reactive. Observation makes you powerful. Life is not a balanced game. The earlier you accept this reality, the sooner you'll stop being a pawn in a system designed to exploit the naive. While you're here listening to this, there are people with less intelligence than you, with weaker skills, and even with less effort, who are still living the life you secretly desire. They command attention, gain respect, and move forward, not because they're inherently better, but because they've tapped into the darker truths of human psychology. From childhood, you were conditioned to obey rules that powerful people stopped following centuries ago. You were told to be polite while others were being strategic. You were advised to wait patiently for respect, while others were already taking it by force. You were trained to believe fairness exists, but in truth, the world punishes those who cling to that illusion. This is the brutal reality. The game of life is rigged, but not in the way you think. It isn't biased against the poor, the weak, or the ignorant. It is tilted against those who refuse to see the real rules of human behavior. It is designed to crush people who believe good intentions matter more than influence, who think kindness will automatically be rewarded, and who confuse fairness with strength. Over 500 years ago, in the ruthless political jungle of Renaissance Italy, Niccolò Machiavelli tore apart the illusions of morality and fairness. He studied power, influence, betrayal, and ambition in their rawest forms. And what he revealed was devastating. Good men finish last, while those who master the strategies of psychological warfare rise above the rest. His insights weren't just lessons for kings and rulers. They were survival manuals for anyone who refuses to remain invisible in a manipulative world. Today, I will show you 8 psychological principles drawn from this harsh wisdom. These laws will turn you from someone who is overlooked, ignored. That is true Machiavellian mastery, self-command in a world addicted to reaction. When to be cold and when to burn ***. Machiavelli often compared human control to fire. A small flame can warm a kingdom. An uncontrolled one burns it down. To be dangerously smart, you must learn when to ignite emotion and when to extinguish it completely. In conflict, go cold. In influence, burn warm. The cold state protects your logic. It stops anger, shame, or panic from hijacking your strategy. The warm state attracts allies, followers, and trust. The balance between the two is your invisible armor. Because when people can't predict your temperature, they tread carefully. You must be the psychological climate others adjust to, not the one adjusting. Machiavelli's principle: it's better to be feared than loved. If you cannot be both, wasn't about cruelty. It was about emotional dominance, to become the center of gravity others revolve around. The silence of strategic patience ***. Most people rush. They act out of anxiety, not intelligence. But Machiavelli believed patience was a weapon sharper than any sword. He observed that those who wait, not passively but watchfully, gain access to timing. And timing is the highest currency of power. Dangerously smart people don't react instantly. They let silence create space where others expose themselves. In a world obsessed with instant opinions, the one who pauses gains control. Because silence does what argument never can. It makes others uncomfortable enough to reveal their truth. Sometimes your best move isn't a word. It's a pause long enough for others to collapse under their own noise. Silence isn't absence. It's observation disguised as peace. The dark gift of detachment ***. Machiavelli wrote that a ruler must learn to act against pity, faith, and charity, when necessary. Not because compassion is evil, but because attachment blinds judgment. To be dangerously smart, you must learn emotional detachment. Not apathy, but clarity. Care deeply, but never be owned by your care. You can love someone and still walk away. You can be loyal and still plan an exit. You can be kind and still dangerous. Detachment gives you freedom, the freedom to see clearly when others drown in sentiment. It's the hardest discipline of all, to feel everything but be ruled by nothing. That's where Machiavellian intelligence turns into inner peace. The cost of knowing too much ***. Awareness is a blade that cuts both ways. The more you see, the lonelier you become, because you begin to notice the illusions everyone else needs to survive. Machiavelli lived in that loneliness. He saw through kings, priests, and promises, and paid for it with exile and isolation. But he also left behind a map, for those brave enough to see the world without filters. Dangerous intelligence isolates before it liberates. You lose naivety, but gain clarity. You lose comfort, but gain control. The path is cold, but the view is pure. And once you walk it, you can never return to ignorance, only to wisdom disguised as silence. Power isn't about control, it's about understanding how control operates. Machiavelli didn't write for tyrants. He wrote for survivors. For those who refuse to be victims of the invisible games that shape every society, every relationship, every era. The dangerously smart live by different laws, not because they reject morality, but because they understand its limits. They know that purity without power is prey, and wisdom without strategy is noise. They don't chase dominance, they master design. They don't fight chaos, they guide it. That's the essence of Machiavellian awareness. To see the world as it truly moves, not as the naive wish it did. There comes a point in every intelligent person's journey when knowledge begins to hurt. When you start seeing behind smiles, reading motives beneath compliments, and sensing manipulation before it reaches your skin, you no longer fit inside the naive version of yourself. Machiavelli understood this transformation centuries ago. He saw that real intelligence is not about knowing facts. It's about understanding the architecture of behavior, the hidden structures that shape every interaction, every ambition, every betrayal. To become dangerously smart, you must go beyond reacting to life. You must learn to observe, interpret, and redesign it, like a sculptor who shapes reality itself. But the journey has a cost. You will lose the comfort of ignorance, the warmth of blind trust, and the illusion of fairness. What you gain, though, is something far greater, the power of self-command. Let's finish Machiavelli's map, the final truths that turn awareness into strategy, and strategy into silent dominance. Lesson 9. Intelligence without ruthlessness is decoration ***. The world is full of intelligent people who fail. They read deeply, speak wisely, and understand everything, except the necessity of edge. Machiavelli observed that brilliance without boldness becomes ornamental, admired but ignored. He wrote, "Fortune favors the bold, not the clever." The dangerously smart person knows when to cross from thought into action, when to act with precision, not hesitation. You can be the most insightful mind in the room, but if you can't make difficult decisions, you're still harmless. Because intelligence is respected, ruthlessness is remembered. This doesn't mean cruelty. It means clarity in motion, the ability to say no without guilt, to cut ties that drain you, to walk away from comfort that blinds you. Machiavelli believed ruthlessness wasn't about harming others. It was about refusing to harm yourself through hesitation. That's what makes intelligence dangerous, when it stops being theoretical and becomes an active force. Lesson 10. Predictability is the death of influence ***. People lose power not because they're weak, but because they become predictable. Predictability makes you visible, and visibility makes you vulnerable. Machiavelli advised rulers to keep their intentions hidden even from their closest allies. He knew that once people can read your next move, they can plan against it. Dangerously smart individuals master unpredictability as a strategy. They are calm when expected to explode, silent when expected to argue, kind when expected to retaliate. This psychological confusion disarms manipulation, because manipulators depend on patterns. In chess, the predictable player loses not because of poor skill, but because every move can be anticipated. Life is no different. To hold power, you must occasionally surprise the board. Inconsistency isn't weakness, it's control over narrative. Keep your mind consistent, your behavior unreadable. Lesson 11. Every system has a hidden door. Find it. ***. Machiavelli never believed in fairness. He believed in leverage. In every system, there are rules meant for the public, and hidden mechanics known only to the observant few. To the dangerously smart, rules are not prisons, they are maps. Every law, hierarchy, or institution has a flaw, an opening, a backdoor. Your task is not to rebel emotionally, but to study it quietly, to find where power actually moves. In modern life, this means learning how influence flows, not just what people say, but who they obey. It means seeing that authority is often perception, not position. Sometimes the real power is not in the man who gives orders, but in the one who whispers into his ear. The Machiavellian mind studies these invisible lines. And once you can see them, you stop knocking on doors, you start unlocking them. Lesson 12. Never argue with the unconscious majority ***. Machiavelli wrote his truths knowing most people would never accept them. Because most humans aren't seeking truth, they're seeking comfort. The masses believe what protects their emotions, not what exposes them. So the dangerously smart learn a powerful discipline. Do not waste energy arguing with the blind. Convincing the unconscious majority is like shouting wisdom into a storm. It only drains you. Instead, use their illusions as cover for your movement. Let them argue about morality while you study results. Let them chase validation while you design influence. The wisest minds understand that you don't have to change the world's opinion, only your position within it. Machiavelli wasn't trying to convert fools. He was teaching thinkers how to survive among them. Never fight ignorance directly, redirect it. The crowd runs on emotion. The strategist runs on observation. Lesson 13. Fear the comfort that dulls your instinct ***. One of Machiavelli's darkest warnings was about comfort. He observed that the moment a ruler becomes too safe, his fall begins. Comfort numbs awareness. You stop reading intentions, stop scanning faces, stop preparing for shifts, until the unseen dagger reaches you. The dangerously smart never become fully comfortable. They remain alert even in success. They celebrate victories privately and prepare for betrayal quietly. They know that security is not the absence of threat. It's the ability to detect it early. To grow sharper, you must occasionally enter chaos. New challenges, new environments, new risks. Stagnation is the silent assassin of intelligence. The weak want peace. The wise want preparedness. Lesson 14. Never outsource your thinking ***. The modern world demands obedience disguised as convenience. Algorithms tell you what to watch, trends tell you what to believe, and public opinion tells you what to fear. Machiavelli would have laughed at this, because nothing pleases power more than people who think in pre-designed boxes. To be dangerously smart today means to think independently, brutally, even if it isolates you. Never outsource your conclusions to authority, media, or crowd logic. Listen, analyze, but decide alone. Because once your thoughts depend on someone else's approval, your identity stops belonging to you. The truly intelligent protect their inner world like a fortress. They allow input but never invasion. Your greatest weapon isn't information, it's interpretation. Everyone reads the same data, but only the sharp see the pattern beneath it. Lesson 15. Learn when to disappear ***. Machiavelli once said that the wise man does at once what the fool does finally. But what he didn't need to say was this: the wisest sometimes do nothing at all. To disappear is not weakness, it's recalibration. Silence resets your power. Absence makes your presence heavier. Dangerously smart individuals know the art of vanishing before exhaustion, scandal, or overexposure strikes. They retreat not in fear, but in foresight. Because presence loses meaning when it becomes routine. When everyone is speaking, the silent one becomes sacred. When everyone is performing, the still one becomes mythic. Disappearance isn't absence, it's strategic invisibility. It's knowing that mystery multiplies value far more than noise ever will. Lesson 16. The final law: rule yourself first ***. Every Machiavellian principle leads to one final truth. You cannot rule anything, not people, not systems, not fate, until you rule yourself. Power without inner discipline collapses from within. Intelligence without self-command turns into anxiety. To rule yourself means to silence impulses before they betray you, to master emotions before they reveal you, to control desires before they enslave you. Machiavelli taught princes how to control their kingdoms, but his hidden message was personal. Master your inner kingdom first. The dangerously smart understand that the greatest throne sits inside the mind, and the real crown is clarity. When you stop reacting, you start creating. When you stop chasing validation, you start shaping destiny. When you stop needing power, you already have it. That's the paradox of Machiavellian wisdom. You begin by trying to control the world, and end by mastering yourself. The dangerous gift of clarity ***. To be dangerously smart is not to be cruel. It's to be awake in a world that sleeps with its eyes open. Machiavelli didn't invent darkness, he revealed it. He showed that morality without awareness is a costume. That empathy without boundaries becomes weakness. That intelligence without courage is just decoration. The dangerously smart don't reject morality, they refine it. They practice kindness strategically, honesty selectively, and power consciously. They don't worship ideals, they test them. And in doing so, they rise above illusion, not beneath it. Because the truth is, the world doesn't reward innocence. It rewards insight. It bows not to the pure, but to the precise. So remember this: be calm in appearance, calculating in thought, and compassionate only when it serves balance. Never react, only respond. Never chase approval, only clarity. And never let the noise of morality drown the whisper of strategy.